Hey everyone, my name's Zango, and in this video I attempt a Pokemon Black 2 Hardcore Nuzlocke with only shiny Pokemon. When looking at this run as a whole, you'll quickly find out that shiny Pokemon are really hard to find. Shiny Pokemon in this game have a less than 1 in 8,000 chance of appearing, and this makes this run extremely hard because if I lose any Pokemon, I'm set back tons of hours. Regardless, with that all being said, I start my journey as Zango and I make my way to get my first shiny Pokemon. My first shiny is going to be my starter, and for this run, I've decided I'm going to shiny hunt Oshawott. It takes me a total of 13 hours to find my shiny, and thankfully when I finally do, I'm able to progress in the game and battle my rival. Luckily, I don't end up losing my first battle, and at this point, there's really not much for me to do. I could catch another shiny, but I'm really not willing to spend another 13 hours of my life for a mediocre Pokemon, so I decide to make my way past all of the story and to the first gym. I managed not to make it over the level cap with my only Pokemon, and once I do that, I challenge Sharon for the first gym badge. He leads the battle with Patrat as I lead with Oshawott. My Oshawott has a quiet nature which raises my special attack, and because of this, I'm easily able to two-shot Patrat with just Water Gun as he doesn't even lay a hit on me. With Patrat down, Lillipup comes in next, and because I'm at full HP, I'm easily able to finish off Lillipup with just a couple of Water Guns as that wins me my first gym badge. After my first gym battle, I do a little bit of story, and once I finish that up, I head to Verbank City. Once I get into Verbank City, I talk to Roxy for a little bit, and since there's really nothing else for me to do here, I get ready to challenge the second gym. While I'm bringing Oshawott up to the level cap, I decide I'm ready to catch 2 more Pokemon. The first Pokemon I want to shiny hunt is on Route 20, and it's a Venipede. Scolipede, Venipede's final evolution, looks amazing with its shiny form, and I really want that on my team for the future. With that being said, Venipede only has a 20% encounter rate on this route, so I have to get a little bit lucky to find him, and thankfully I do as I find Venipede after 15 hours. I decide to name Venipede Taco, and after I do, I make my way to Verbank Complex where I can catch a ton of cool Pokemon. The only Pokemon I'm really looking for here is a Magnemite, but sadly for me, I don't end up getting one as I stumble upon a shiny Growlithe that I decide to name Pepper. With that all finished up, I grind up my team and I'm finally ready to challenge Roxy. She leads the battle with Coughing as I lead with Dewott. Coughing's not really a great Pokemon, and because he's really weak as far as attacks go, I'm really easily able to take him out without taking much damage at all. With Coughing down, Roxy sends in her final Pokemon, Whirlipede. Immediately when Whirlipede comes out, I decide to set up a couple of Tail Whips before going for a Razor Shell and doing a ton of damage. While I was setting up, I did take a lot of damage, so I decided to switch into Pepper, and I end up finishing off Whirlipede with just a Flame Wheel, winning me my second gym badge. With that gym finished up, there's really nothing else for me to do. I could catch a shiny, but since I really don't want to yet, I just make my way to challenge Berg. Truth be told, this battle was easily the easiest battle of this run. I have a Fire type and a Poison type with Rock type moves, so I really don't have any struggles as I blast through Berg's team and win myself my 3rd gym badge. With that being said, once I'm finished up with Berg, I make my way to the next route where I catch my next shiny. This shiny overall takes me about 9 hours, which is actually pretty lucky, and when I finally get my shiny Sandile, I name it Bacon. Once Bacon's caught, I do a little bit more story, and since there's not really anything else to do past that, I make my way to Nimbasa City and challenge the next gym. Before the gym, you have access to the TM Dig, and since I taught it to every single one of my Pokemon, I'm easily able to pretty much sweep all of Elisa's team. It does get a little bit close at times, especially due to paralysis, but eventually I'm able to finish off Elisa and win myself my 4th gym badge. After I get that 4th gym badge, I then gotta make my way to Driftmill City. To do this, I have to go through Team Plasma, which isn't really that hard, and I then have to go through Charles. You would think this battle would be a little bit difficult, but it's really not as I have Crunch and Dig that deal with pretty much all of Charles' team. With that, I move on to the Driftmill City drawbridge where I have to deal with another barrage of Team Plasma story, and when I finally get through that, I'm able to challenge the next gym. Clay leads the battle with Krokorok as I lead with Dewott. Krokorok is faster than me, and he hits me, bringing me down to about a 1/3 as I go for a Water Pulse, one-shotting him in the process. With that, Sandslash comes out next, and he hits me for really not that much damage as I'm able to one-shot with another Water Pulse as Clay sends out his final Pokemon, Excadrill. Excadrill is also faster than me, and he hits me with a Slash, bringing me down to 14 HP as I'm able to one-shot with a Water Pulse again, winning me my 5th gym badge. Now that I finished up that gym, I head to the Driftmill City tournament. To be honest, I don't really know why they put it at this point in the game, considering I'm extremely overleveled, and once I finish mollywopping the competition, I make my way to go deal with Team Plasma. They once again don't pose much of a threat at all, as I then move on to my next route to do a little bit more story and head to Chargestone Cave. Once in Chargestone Cave, I realize there is a ton of cool encounters that I can get before moving on in this run. The encounter I'm really looking for here is a Clang, considering I get set up really well in the Elite Four, but sadly I don't end up getting one as I find a Joltik. This shiny overall takes me about 8.5 hours to find, so that's really not that bad, as after I get that shiny, I make my way to Mistrulian Cave. Mistrulian Cave only has one encounter I'm looking for, and that's Axew. Haxorus, Axew's final evolution, has one of the best shinies in the game, and considering he's also a really good Pokemon, I'll be able to totally abuse him in the Elite Four. With that being said, I have to catch Axew first, and with only a 20% encounter rate, it's going to be really hard. Thankfully, I have a Joltik at level 30, and since I can use Repel strats, I chop down my percent chance to 50. With that being said, I still gotta get a little bit lucky, and thankfully after 15 hours, I do end up finding my shiny Axew. I name my Axew Typhon and my Joltik Beans. With both of those Pokemon on my team, I finally end up looking at my abilities and I realize that they are really bad. Most of my team has the worst abilities possible, and considering that, this run is going to be a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Regardless, once I figure out I have the worst luck possible, I make my way to Mistrulian City. Once here, I make the decision that I want to catch another Pokemon. With all the shiny hunting I've done recently, I've decided I want to get it all out of the way right now before I have to do it later in the run. With that being said, I make my way to Celestial Tower and I catch myself a Litwick. Shiny Litwick looks really cool and Chandeler's special attack is through the roof, so I should be able to one-shot a lot of Pokemon before they can even lay a hit on me. Thankfully, after I get all that shiny hunting out of the way, I'm finally ready to challenge the 6th gym. Skyla leads the battle with Swoobat as I lead with Beans. Beans is a really strong Pokemon, so I go for a single Volt Switch one-shotting Swoobat as that causes me to switch out into Samurott. With Samurott out, Skyla sends in her next Pokemon Swanna, and on the first turn she goes for a Feather Dance. This was exactly what I was hoping for, as it allows me to go for an Encore and get a free switch back into Beans. With Swanna stuck using Feather Dance, I'm able to one-shot with a single Electro Ball as Skyla sends out her final Pokemon Skarmory. Skarmory almost gets one-shotted by a single Electro Ball, and I end up finishing off Skarmory, which is 2 more, winning me my 6th gym badge of this run. With Skyla defeated, I steal her private jet and head to Reversal Mountain. Once here, I blast through every single trainer and make my way into Undella Town. In Undella Town, I have a rival battle, and I absolutely smoke Hugh as I defeat him in every single aspect. With that rival battle down, I go through a ton of story that would lull you guys to sleep, so I'm not even going to go over it, as after I finish all of that, I make my way into Opelucid City. Now that I'm here, I'm free to grind up my team, and with that, I'm ready to challenge the 7th gym of this run. I lead the battle with Typhon as Drapeon leads with Druddigon. First things first, I decide to set up with the Dragon Dance as Drapeon goes for a Slash, not doing that much damage, only bringing me down to 100. Drapeon could have done some big damage with a Dragon Claw, and he might have killed with a crit, but he decides not to go for it as I go for a Dragon Claw, finishing off Druddigon. With Druddigon down, Flygon HG comes out next, and because of my speed boost, I'm easily faster, and I'm easily able to one-shot with a single Dragon Claw, as next out comes Drapen's final Pokemon, Haxorus. Haxorus is an easy KO with another Dragon Claw, as with that KO, I win my 7th gym badge. For some reason, after that gym, Team Plasma decides to rain down ice on Opelucid City. Truthfully, this act of violence doesn't do any damage to my team, and I end up going through Team Plasma really easily. I then have to go through a little bit more story, and for some reason Drapeon decides to put one of the most valuable items in Unova in a 16-year-old's hands, and I end up getting mugged immediately. I end up not getting my item back, and with that, I just head to Humalao City. Once here, I simply find the gym leader, grind up my team, and I get ready to challenge the 8th and final gym of this run. Marlin leads the battle with Caracosta as I lead with Samurott. On the first turn, I go for an Aqua Jet to take out Caracosta's Surdy as he sets up with a Shell Smash. Shockingly enough, he ends up being faster than me after that, and he goes for a Crunch, bringing me down to 87 as I'm able to one-shot with a single serve. Wailord comes in next, and he starts off by going for an Amnesia. Because I have Encore and I'm faster, I decide to lock him into Amnesia as I decide to switch into Typhon. Wailord still can't move, so I decide to set up a Sword Stance as on the next turn I go for a Dragon Claw, doing a ton of damage, bringing Wailord down to 1 HP. Wailord then decides to go for a Bounce, pretty much sealing his fate as I set up with a Dragon Dance and I'm able to one-shot him with a single Dragon Claw. At this point, I'm at +3 attack, so this easily allows me to one-shot Jellicent as that wins me my final gym badge. First things first, after the gym, I gotta deal with Team Plasma. I end up going to their floating ship, and as usual, their fights are really easy considering they don't really have strong Pokemon whatsoever. Once I finish them off there, I then head to Giant Chasm where I have to fight even more Team Plasma members. While I'm making my way there, I end up getting in a random trainer battle. This trainer battle is a little bit different than most as she has a Heracross and my team is a little bit weak due to all the fights I've had recently. With that being said, as I'm battling with Beans, I get brought down to 35 HP and this forces me to switch. Heracross has Mega Horn, which is a really powerful move, so I can't send in over half of my Pokemon. The only two Pokemon I can even think about sending in is Taco and Pepper. Taco is pretty slow, and because of this, I'm a little bit worried I'm going to get thrown into the same situation I'm in right now, so I decide to switch into Pepper. Sadly, Pepper gets hit by a critical hit Mega Horn, one-shotting in the process, and this causes me to lose my first Pokemon of the run. Luckily for me, I don't actually have to shiny grind after this loss as I already have a Liwick in the box that I named Ghost Pepper. With Ghost Pepper in the party, I realize I have to grind before going to the next Team Plasma fights. I end up storming through the Team Plasma grunts in Giant Chasm, and after this, I end up fighting Colress. Thankfully, this battle isn't actually that difficult as I have Ghost Pepper and Bacon that can deal with all of his team. With him down, I've got to fight what will easily be one of the hardest battles of this run with Ghetsis. I lead the battle with Bacon as Ghetsis leads with Cofagrigus. Cofagrigus starts out with a Protect as I go for a Crunch, not doing any damage. On the next turn, I decide to go for another Crunch as it leaves Cofagrigus with a Sliver as I get hit by a Toxic. I end up taking Cofagrigus out, but not before he brings me down to 14 HP as Seismitoad comes out next. With Seismitoad out and me being pretty low, I decide I've got to make the switch into Typhon. Immediately when I make the switch in, I decide I've got to set up with a Dragon Dance. After I set up, I get hit really hard with an Earthquake that definitely would have killed with a Grit, but thankfully it doesn't as I finish off Seismitoad on the next turn. With Seismitoad down, Ghetsis sends out Hydreigon, who I easily one-shot with a Dragon Claw, and this leads into his next Pokemon, Drapeon. With my attack boosted, I figure I can one-shot Drapeon, but I'm completely incorrect as I leave Drapeon with a Sliver as I get hit by a Night Slash. Thankfully, it doesn't end up getting the crit as it brings me down to 21 HP and I'm able to finish off Drapeon with another Dragon Claw. At this point, I don't have many Pokemon I can send in when Electros comes out next. I decide to send in Taco, who gets hit really hard with an Acrobatics on the switch in, leading me to switch him out immediately into Beans. Beans gets brought down to about half, and because of this, I'm scared of a crit, so I switch out with Volt Switch. I move into Ghost Pepper, and since I have the ability Flash Fire, I don't take any damage from the Flamethrower, and I'm able to one-shot Electros on the next turn with a Flame Burst. Thankfully, that was pretty much his hardest Pokemon, as after that, Toxicroak comes out, and I switch into Samurott and get a critical hit Surf, one-shotting Toxicroak and winning me my battle against Ghetsis. Once I talk to N and Ghetsis one final time, I make my way to Victory Road, and I fight my rival. I would go over this battle if I didn't absolutely destroy him. His team is no match for mine, and after I finish off his final Pokemon, I make my way to the Pokemon League. Now that I'm here, I grind up my team one final time, and with that, I get ready to challenge the Elite Four of Pokemon Black 2 using only shiny Pokemon. I make the decision that I want to start my first Elite Four battle with Chantal. She leads the battle with Cofagrigus as I lead with Ghost Pepper. Ghost Pepper has a special attack stat of 194, meaning I'm able to one-shot Cofagrigus with a single Shadow Ball as after that, Golurk comes out next. Golurk is easily one-shotted by another Shadow Ball as after she goes down, Chantal sends in Drifloon. I really didn't expect this, but shockingly enough, Drifloon is faster than me. Drifloon goes for a Shadow Ball that brings me down to 20 HP as I go for a Shadow Ball of my own, one-shotting Drifloon in the process. That was way too close for comfort, but thankfully I got away with it as after Drifloon goes down, Chantal sends out her final Pokemon, Chandelure. Because I know I definitely don't outspeed, I decide to switch into Bacon, who gets hit really hard on the switch in. I end up getting brought down to 30 HP, and thankfully on the next turn, I'm able to finish off Chandelure with an Earthquake, and that wins me my first Elite Four battle. With Chantal down, I decide to go in order, and I fight Grimsley next. Grimsley leads the battle with Liepard as I lead with Samurott. Immediately I get hit with a Fake Out, flinching me as on the next turn Liepard goes for an Attract. Thankfully I predicted this and I decided to go for an Encore as that traps Liepard into only using Attract. Because Attract doesn't work on Pokemon with the same gender, I decide to switch into Ghost Pepper and go for a Flamethrower. Thankfully the Flamethrower is able to kill as after it does, Grimsley sends out Crocodile. Krookodile decides to go for an Earthquake, bringing me down to 8 HP as I go for an Energy Ball, bringing Krookodile down to about the same. Because I know Krookodile's going to heal with a full restore, I decide to go for another Energy Ball, and thankfully this one kills, as after that, Grimsley sends out his next Pokemon, Scrafty. Scrafty can pretty much one-shot with any move, so I decide to switch into Taco. Taco ends up avoiding a Rock Tomb on the switch in, and on the next turn, I decide to go for an X-Scissor, not really doing that much damage. On that same turn, I end up getting hit really hard with a Rock Tomb, bringing me down to 94 HP and lowering my speed. I then go for another X-Scissor as Scrafty goes for a Crunch, bringing me pretty low. Thankfully, that's the last we see of Scrafty, as I decide to switch into Bacon, who gets hit for minimal damage on the switch in, and on the next turn, I decide to go for an Earthquake, one-shotting Scrafty in the process. With that, Grimsley sends out his final Pokemon, Bisharp, who is easily one-shotted by a single Earthquake, winning me my second Elite Four battle. With Grimsley taken care of, I decide I want to fight my next Elite Four member, Caitlyn. This battle with Caitlyn ends up being a landslide victory in my favor. The battle starts out with me using Samurott to trap Musharna into using Dream Eater. With Musharna trapped, it easily gives me a switch into Bacon, and because of this, I'm able to one-shot the rest of Caitlyn's team with no issues whatsoever. Now that I've finished up the 3 previous Elite Four members, I make my way to Marshall for my final Elite Four battle. Marshall leads the battle with Throw, as I lead with Ghost Pepper. I gave Ghost Pepper a Psychic Gem before the battle started, so I'm easily able to one-shot Throw, as after that, Conkeldurr comes out next. I decide to make my move, and I go for a Psychic, bring Conkeldurr down to only a sliver, as he thankfully goes for a Bulk Up, and on the next turn, I'm able to take him out with another Psychic. Marshall then sends out Sock next, and because I know that he has Rock Slide, I decide to make a switch. I move into Samurai, as on the switch in and the following turns, I take a lot of damage. Thankfully, during this time, I'm able to bring Sock pretty low with a Surf, as I'm forced to switch. I end up moving into Beans, who easily finishes off Sock with a Thunderbolt, as with that, Marshall sends out his final Pokemon, Menchao. I end up switching into Taco and finishing off Menchao with just a couple of Poison Tails, winning me my final Elite Four battle. Now that my Elite Four journey has come to a close, I decide to fight Iris in the final battle of this run. Iris leads the battle with Hydreigon, as I lead with Taco. Taco's actually faster, as I go for an X-Scissor, doing almost half, as I get hit really hard with a Flamethrower, bringing me down to 2 HP. Thankfully, this does mean I'm able to finish off Hydreigon on the next turn with another X-Scissor, as after that, Druddigon comes out next. I let Druddigon sack Taco, as I don't really need him anymore, and with my free switch, I decide to move into Samurai. I'm able to hit Druddigon really hard with an Ice Beam, as I get hit for a Focus Blast that doesn't do that much, and I'm able to finish off Druddigon on the next turn with another Ice Beam. With Druddigon down, Lapras comes out next, and with that, I decide to switch into Bacon. Bacon ends up not getting hit by the Thunderbolt on the switch in, and on the next turn, I decide to switch again, this time back into Samurai. I did this so that I can lock Lapras into Surf, and I can have an easy time throughout the rest of this battle. With Lapras stuck using Surf, I decide to let her finish off Samurai, and with that, I decide to switch into Beam. I go for a Thunderbolt, doing a lot of damage as Lapras decides to heal, and on the next turn, I go for another Thunderbolt. At this point, Lapras is low enough to where I can finish her off with a Giga Drain, and with that, Archeops comes out next. Archeops is easily one-shotted by a single Thunderbolt, as after that happens, Iris sends in Aggron. Aggron doesn't get hit for much damage with a Giga Drain, as she decides to go for an Autotomize. This in turn makes her faster than Beans, and she ends up finishing off Beans with a single Rock Slide, as after that, I send out Ghost Pepper. Ghost Pepper isn't actually faster, but I end up surviving a Rock Slide, and I go for a Flamethrower, finishing off Aggron. At this point, Iris only has one Pokemon remaining, so she sends out Haxorus. Immediately she goes for a Dual Trap that thankfully misses, and I go for a Will-O-Wisp, burning Haxorus. Even though she's burned, she still ends up taking out Ghost Pepper on the next turn with an Earthquake, and this does give me an easy switch into Typhon. Iris tries to go for a setup, but it's no use as I'm able to finish her off with a Dragon Claw, winning myself the final battle of this run. And the burn finishes him off. That's the end. Ooh, that was a good run. I enjoyed that a lot. With Iris defeated, that's the end of this run. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and with that being said, that was my attempt at a Pokemon Black 2 Hardcore Nuzlocke using only shiny Pokemon.